password. I think we're good.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Roleplay Blades, episode 5. What's up, Jeff? We were just talking before this about a little film that came out recently.
You probably haven't heard of it. It's a super small production.
We were talking about
little indie movie. Yeah.
A little film that they kind of just shot out of that LucasArts studio. Haphazardly almost. I think a lot of people watch it, but if you're really sensitive to spoilers, we're not going to like mega spoil right now, but I just don't. Just heads up, for the next 2 minutes, we're going to be talking about the movie a little bit. So it's interesting because I think when you talk about Rogue One, in my opinion, and there's going to be people that are like, that's the best movie I've ever seen, and that's fine. That's totally cool. But to me, I had really high expectations. I wanted a darker, grittier take on Star Wars, and I think I did get that for the most part. And the movie itself is a good movie. I don't think there's anyone that can, with a straight face, be like, no, it was objectively terrible. I didn't like it at all. Like, there's laughs, there's good action, beautifully filmed, beautifully acted.
Do they have to talk like a walrus, though?
They do. I mean, if they don't like that movie.
Oh, terrible.
I saw it in the sea lion apocalypse, the theaters in the ocean. Anyways.
I don't think it was as dark as I thought it would be based on the trailers. Like, the trailers made it look like it was going to be a lot darker, and I don't think it was. So I think I went into it too expecting that it would be darker, but it wasn't.
It's probably. I mean, are we officially in spoiler territory?
Spoiler mode, yeah. I mean,
okay.
Just don't like mega spoil, but you can say a little bit.
I mean, I would say generally speaking, there's probably more people that die visibly on screen in this movie, aside from a very macro level, like, you know, oh, they blew up a planet and there was apparently a bunch of people on it. But you know, and I'm trying to think if Force Awakens, I guess it had a few points, but it wasn't, necessarily on a scale. So I guess like dark from that perspective, The
tone of it wasn't as dark though.
Not necessarily.
I had the same feeling, but I think like Star Wars, I felt like it fit the tone of the Star Wars saga pretty well, because in A New Hope we see Aunt Beru and Uncle Owen, they're burned skeletons.
That's pretty bad.
It's pretty dark, and people get mutilated, and the movies overall are fairly lighthearted. But this one felt like it focused more on the war aspect, which I thought was pretty cool.
Well, let me say this though,
but I didn't feel like it was much darker than like Empire or something.
Because I think in the movie itself, it almost shows you the emotional range it could potentially reach, but then doesn't get there. So, and this is a slight spoiler. It's kind of redonkulous. It's like you had to have not seen A New Hope to not know this was coming. But anyways, in case you didn't, here's your warning: the end of this movie with Vader going down the corridor and them like just so incredibly passing on the Death Star plans and how panicked and how terrified it was. That scene, and then just how viscerally cool it is to see a modern Vader, by the way. Him not in a terrible suit, him actually moving, him violently throwing a guy against the wall and just crumpling him. Like, it captured that. But the thing is, the moment was actually made, like, Vader's cool. It was made by the way it was acted by the rebel troopers. Like, the fact that...
Right.
At the door and be like, oh, I can't make it, so my choice is I'm going to turn around and face Vader now. That was such a cool moment. The rest of the movie has moments that could potentially be in that space, but just never really got there. Like with the main character, Jen, I think her name is.
Yeah.
She's definitely really cool. I don't. And again, this is all under the guise of like, I loved this movie. I didn't hate it at all, but I am critical of it because I expected more. Right down to when she's a child and her mother dies, it's like it's completely an afterthought. Like, she dies, he holds her, he's like, damn you. And then that's the end of the scene. And, and then for the rest of the movie, she's chasing down her father, but there's no mention of her dead mom, who like was awesome and like stood up to this impossible odds and was like, no, you'll never take them, and then died. There's a lot of moments where it could have been very emotionally impactful, but just never got there. It just didn't.
Can we, if you did just walk in, we are talking about Rogue One. Can we just take one moment to take about 3 to 5 seconds of the movie and just maybe like collectively try to erase it from existence? And that is the point in which Vader chokes the guy.
Oh, God.
And then he delivers this like You know, I can't even say it. I don't, because every time I hear it, I'm just like, oh God, no.
Yeah, that was
And it's
pretty
like,
bad.
what is it? Like, don't choke on your aspirate. Like, oh.
I wanted to shoot the
Oh my
screen when
God.
I said that. That was the
Oh
only
my
part of
God.
the movie that I was just like, no.
What?
No.
What did I just hear? No.
That was really bad.
Vader would never say that shit ever.
Vader like drops the mic. He's like, "Thanks, Apollo. I'll be here all night." Yeah. Why are you doing jokes?
I think they were aiming for, I find your lack of faith disturbing or something like that. They wanted to give him some kind of iconic bad guy line, but they missed the mark.
I mean, I find your lack of faith disturbing is like such a visceral threat coming from Vader, and this is still like, well, watch me pull down my pants and shit. I don't know. It
was not a good line.
He turned around and he's like, "You forced me to do this." Like, what? I don't want that. That's not the Vader that I want.
Yeah. Fully agreed. One other weird thing too, and shouldn't spend the whole thing on this, but and there's people that disagree with me on this, and that's fine. But the decision to have Grand Moff Tarkin, or the actor that played him, who's dead, reincarnated through CGI, is something that, and it was amazingly done. But it's one of those things where, like, in a room full of healthy people, there's a person with a third eye on their forehead, and you just are like, I can't stop looking at that. It is. My body is warning me against this. He just had like little ticks and stuff, and my whole time I was like, he's not human. He's not everyone. He's not a real person. But they did it with Carrie Fisher, but it was because it was a short scene. It was much more passable and okay. But every time he's there, and he's just like, I talked to the Emperor, and I was like,
and I thought it was going to be very well done for 1 second. I mean, and the CGI was very good, but I thought he was. You see him reflected in the window originally, and I thought, this is really smart. We're just going to see him talk in the reflection.
God damn, it's going to be
perfect. Like it's just enough to sell it, but then they
just hinted at it rather than being like, let's focus on his face for a good 10 minutes.
Well, and also it's such an iconic actor like Peter Cushing.
Yeah.
Been in millions of movies.
Right.
You know
what?
It's tough.
Get used to it.
It's rough.
I know.
Get used to it.
What about the woman who played
the
senator? What was her name? The senator in the white.
Mon Mothma.
Yeah.
They just got a lookalike for her because nobody really remembers the actor who played her.
I'm excited for Stomp the Yard 3, where Tupac Shakur and Michael Jackson stop the movie.
Hologram dance battle.
But then it's not actually a hologram of Tupac Shakur. It's really him because he's still alive. And then people are like, it would be amazing,
I was torn. We were talking about it. I just saw it like right before the show here, and on the way home we were talking about that. And it's one of those things that it was done well, and I still wish they didn't do it. Basically,
wish they didn't do it?
Well, I wish they didn't do it that way, like with lots and lots of coverage of his face and stuff. Like if he had been in silhouette.
I'm sorry. I thought you meant like the movie in general.
Oh no, sorry. Just Tarkin. Why did you even make this?
You want dark?
No, I think they did a great job, but they should have dialed it down. They probably fell in love with it, right? They were looking at it. They're like, "Wow, this is really great. We pulled it off," and so they showed it too much. But I don't know. I feel like we're nitpicking, which is fair to criticize these things. But
absolutely,
it is a great movie, and we have to nitpick it.
Really great.
Even when you love things the most, you will nitpick the shit out of them.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Well, that's the prevailing message. I think everyone should hear. We love this. It was a good movie. I went into it hoping for like much more than Episode 7. I wanted to be my favorite Star Wars ever, and there's people that say that, and that's fine. No judgment on them, but because my expectations were so high, there's a lot of these moments that popped out at me where I'm like, not getting there just yet. That being said, best droid ever so far.
Yeah.
Great comedic relief. His animation was fantastic. I love that they were using a real model. There was obviously some CGI, but they used it intermittently as opposed to predominantly, which I think is something that's like a bit of a lost art, but they're really starting to come back to in Star Wars movies. So it was good.
Yeah, he did a great job.
Yeah. I got really no like strong opinion. Like I liked it, but I honestly like the Force Awakens better.
Yeah, I think if I had to pick between the two,
I got invested in those characters way more, and
I mean, are you only comparing them because like it's been a year since they came out? Because like, don't forget that we waited for fucking ever before we even got 7, and now it's just like it's just going to be the annual celebration.
Yeah. I think also
that's what we'll do.
Like the way that they approached the characters was different because we know the way that Rogue One ends because of 1977's A New Hope, you know. But with Episode 7, they're really wanting you to invest in these characters because they're going to bring them back for Episode 8 and, you know, potentially 9 or however many more movies they make with the same people. So I feel like the way that they approached it was very much a different, you know, because it wasn't Star Wars Episode 3.5 Rogue One. It was just Rogue One, a Star Wars story. So like they were very much selling it as like, this is not part of like the main storyline. We're just like putting this in between the two. So I think that the way that they approached it was completely different.
What I've always said is, I had my problems with Force Awakens as well, but that movie, more than almost any movie I can name in a long time, has me so excited for the future of more movies of that style that I cannot help but to be like, this is. It just has me so excited that I'm absolutely in love with it. The movie itself, another Death Star. A lot of, I mean, we don't have to go through it, but a lot of issues for sure. But I love the characters like Zeke and Ann were saying, and I'm just so excited for the next one. I cannot wait to see where they go with it.
Yeah, that's true. Normally you like see a movie and I'm just like, that was good. Please don't ruin it by making a sequel. Right. And with this one, I'm like, please, I can't wait for Episode 8. Like, it's gonna be amazing.
Totally, me too. And
I can't wait to see if they if they just copy Empire this time.
No, I hope they don't.
No, I don't think so.
With that said, like that's a big gripe for a lot of people, and it's also like the theme behind the new South Park like season is that remember, and then you go like, oh, wasn't that good? You're right. I'll tell you what, man. I don't care if they revisited old themes or old plots, whatever the fuck. I had a Star Warsy good time at that movie. Like, it's their characters that are their driving points, motivations. I can understand, and I've grown to love. And stuff like that. It didn't turn me off of the movie. I really, really tried to look at it objectively, and I had a blast, like rooting for the good guys and jeering the bad guys or whatever. It was great.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Whereas Rogue One is like real gray area, like no real standout character besides the droid, in my opinion. Like I didn't.
I really like Jen a lot. I thought she was great.
Yeah.
I did too. I was surprised. To be honest,
she was really cool, and Diego Luna was good, but I think Jen really stood out to me. She was a great character.
Yeah,
and I really liked how, like you were saying, like it wasn't kind of 3.5 episode 3.5, but it's cool that they were able to pull it off, inserting it into stuff that we're so familiar with.
Yeah,
without shitting on that stuff. Like it wasn't like, oh, they totally ruined that. As the prequels did with some things.
I think what they're doing is trying to prepare us for the Han Solo shoot off, and if they do if they start approaching other characters as like single movies, because everyone's so used to episode 4, episode 5, episode 6, episode 1, and now they're like, hey, we're gonna make a Star Wars movie, but it's not like the other Star Wars movies, it's like this kind of separate idea, and then they're like, okay, but now become prepared for the fact that we're gonna do character movies like Han Solo and stuff.
Yeah.
Some person is eating grapes out of a golden chalice while they're being, leaf banned by people because they
by people
intermittent. I'm a very PC person, Marcus. It could be a boy or a girl that's doing.
It could be a raccoon, Jeff. You never. I mean,
fuck it.
Think more exotic, right?
Or a cat. Yeah, exactly. Or it could be, anyways.
A dolphin.
Came up with the idea of interspersing, as exactly as Ann just said, episodic, like 8, 9, 10, so on and so forth, but also singular stories in between. That like alternating feel is going to be so cool, because if you did do episode 7, 8, and 9 3 years in a row, I think a little bit that would be lost. A little bit, there's a buildup that's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
even I wonder how deep they are, because even the advertising of Rogue One was not that intense. I'm gonna, and there's gonna be people like, what? I saw commercials everywhere. Yes, of course you did. It was one of the biggest movies of the year, but it wasn't ham-fisted, forced down your throat. I didn't think it was like way out there. Like Episode 7 was, obviously for a different reason, but I bet you next year with Episode 8, you couldn't fart without the gas hitting an advertisement of Episode 8. It's just not gonna. It's everywhere.
I'll take that bet, Jeff.
Done. $1,000 called.
When I go into space and fuck, oh my god, there's a floating billboard up here. What the
Marcus didn't test that yet.
damn it, Jeff won that bet. Holy shit.
Star Wars has never had restraint. You know, there's usually like fucking Burger King cups and shit with Yoda on them, and
yeah,
they just didn't do that with Rogue One. Really, there were some tie-ins, but it did feel like a little more restrained.
well, how well has the movie done? Because I haven't really looked at that.
Well, I'm sure.
Yeah, very well. I don't know what.
I didn't hear of it crushing records or anything like that, but I heard it's doing well.
No.
Yeah, it's definitely doing well.
They're
but-
saving themselves for Episode 8.
Well, wait, oh wait, let's see.
I'm excited when they
We'll
announce
check.
Episode 9 is co-directed by Michael Bay and M. Night Shyamalan. And
God.
in the middle of the movie, he like pops out his lightsaber, but is like, wait, and then crushes a monster can and just starts chugging it right there in the scene.
Yeah.
Or like a Chinese milk action is probably what it would be.
360
The
cameras whipping around.
Fueled by Mountain Dew Code Red.
Oh no!
William Shatner starring as Darth Shidious.
Oh, jeez.
There's Force somewhere in this room.
I can feel it in my toupee.
Do the do, Luke.
Yeah, it's done about 325 million globally
Wow.
Have fourth meal, you will.
in 4 days.
Yoda's dead, Brad. Deal with it. But he could have a little blue shadow. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, it's commercials in the Jedi Afterlife.
Have you guys seen the bad lip reading Yoda and Luke Skywalker music video?
We went to the Alamo Draft House and they played it before the movie.
Dude.
Seagulls go away, or
Oh my god. If
It's
you
really
guys ever interact with Anna again, which I'm sure most of you will, ask her about that. I don't know why, but her hidden talent, her entire life, she didn't fucking know this. Her whole life is built up to that video, but she can sing it and recreate it in ways that you didn't think possible, down to the voice, and it is so damn funny.
Wait, sing what, Jeff? I don't
Dude,
get
that's what it's the
Oh, it's the musical. Okay.
Seagulls. Yeah, she's
Okay, right.
Song.
Okay.
Let me get my beater. That log had a child.
Oh
my God.
Watch this one.
and there was a
Ask
stick.
her, Marcus.
I will.
Well, I want to kill people. I mean, how's everyone else doing? Let's keep this going real quick.
Got
so we can
6
get people.
minutes, you know?
Yeah. Anybody have?
I have lately discovered, it's been since about Thanksgiving, this guilty pleasure, which is the show Gold Rush on Discovery, maybe Discovery Channel. Anyone familiar?
Nope.
Gold Rush. Anyone? No.
I think I saw like 20 minutes of it in a hotel on one of my trips. And then
I regret
and then I found a
it.
Star Wars
That's how I
marathon.
discovered it. That's how I discovered it, but then I got hooked. I got crazy hooked. It's about like these 4 different teams, groups of folks that go out and mine for gold, and
Yeah.
it's kind of ridiculous. They have this novice team, right? And they decide to quit their jobs and go out and mine for gold. And this is probably what got me
Zeke
into it.
so much he left.
But-
He was like, I don't want to hear
Yeah,
that.
well, fuck Zeke anyway. He's like, he's talking about the shit I do up here in Montana. Like, what the fuck? Like, you didn't make a reality
This is
show
my
about
life.
us. So, guys, they strip this huge area of land and they run it. They run it through their feeder and fucking wash the rocks and put it through the sluice box, and they pull out, and they're like, we got like a 1/4 ounce of gold, which is really bad. They want to be pulling like 20 or 30, and they're like, fuck. Well, shit, let's go ahead and let's take off another 4 feet. Let's run that because gold, it must be like, it must be deeper. So they do that and they fucking come out and it's like, oh, this is only half an ounce. Like, what the fuck? We're going to go to Tony Beats, who's like the most badass gold miner in the hills. And this guy is like an Irish Scottish. I feel like I'm listening to Piani's grandfather. He's a gold miner, hugely successful. And he's like, so you only found half an ounce of gold? And they're like, yeah. And he's like, well, did you fucking drill? And the guy's like, drill. Yeah, drill. And I'm sitting there going, fucking right, yeah, of course. You take a sample and you find out if there's gold there. Like, I've never mined gold in my life, but I can, you know what? Fuck all this shit. Forget about Twitch. I'm going to quit my job and I'm going to go be a gold miner next year. So it's going to be fun playing with you guys, role playing. I don't know. I love this fucking show. It makes me so happy and sad at the same time. So if you're looking for some dumb television to watch, Gold Mine is phenomenal.
Is a gold mine?
He's Dutch. Everyone's telling me. I love fucking. I don't know. I love how everyone in chat apparently watches it though. They're like, yeah, fucking Tony Beats. Of course, he's like my best friend.
When we were in Colorado, we watched way too much of that pawn shop show.
Oh,
Pawn shop. I don't know, where people bring in their crap and they never want to sell it for anything.
that's my father.
It's always so weird.
Pawn Stars.
Tony Beats.
Oh, Pawn Stars. I don't know.
I think that's what
watches role play Blades.
Yeah,
There you go.
it's a really awful show.
I'd talk about a show I watched, but I only watch good shows, so somebody else can go, I guess.
You don't watch any bad shows?
That's not true. I watched a lot of bad shows.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I'm currently watching Luke Cage. It's pretty bad.
I still haven't watched that.
You don't like Luke Cage?
It's all right.
Oh, God.
It's all right, but I definitely feel like beginning of Office Space, white dude in the car listening to rap.
I think Luke Cage is a very good. It would be a really good 3-hour story. At 8 or 10 or whatever it is, it felt.
But they just stretched it out.
Stretched it too far. But I liked it a lot.
But bless their souls, man. They're fucking sitting in that room. They're like, all right, storyboard time. We got a guy who's super strong. He's invincible. And he's dealing with pretty mediocre level criminals. So what kind of story are we going to work on? Let's do character building. He's got a few girls that he's going to have sex with and have relationships with. He's going to struggle with his power. Okay, we got to do that one. We're contractually obligated to do that one. And he's going to want to get out of the town, but decides to stay. And it's a good guy. All right. What else do we got? And someone's like, he could decide to not kill people because that's what everyone else did. Good one. Not going to kill anyone. He's going to punch a bunch. And have some witty remarks. That's the whole fucking show every time. And it's the same every time, too. Every time they have an invincible guy, he's always like, my power is overwhelming. I'm really struggling with this. I don't know what to do with it. And he's like, you know what? I'll be peaceful, but still solve problems with my heart and my mind.
I really like all the other characters though in that show. Like I forget their names now because I watched it like when it first came out. But
yeah, they're good.
The politician woman and it had a lot of good supporting characters. That I don't know. I like that show a lot. I thought it was awesome. But yeah, he did do the same exact kind of superhero trope of just being like, I don't want to be a superhero. Like, well, too bad you are. Deal with it.
It's the Western trope, right? It's the outlaw who wants a life of peace, and then the town is in danger, and he has to strap his gun back on and go back out again, and it's that thing, and that's a great movie, but it's hard. I don't know. I think I feel like they had so much good talent on the show, so many great actors that would have been cool if they had 3 or 4 stories to tell with those characters instead of just the one kind of.
Yeah, because it was all centered around Luke Cage, of course, but with the detective and her dealing with
I liked her a lot.
Stuff. Yeah, there was a lot of interesting side stories I think that supported it, but
yeah, it's okay. It's not a terrible show.
Yeah, I don't think
it's not very good.
Superheroes.
Should I watch it or not?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, you should
especially to talk about.
Yeah.
Just like Jessica Jones was incredible.
Yes.
And then I definitely would agree that it didn't live up to the other ones, like Daredevil and that kind of stuff. But
Jessica Jones was made incredible though by the dynamic between her and the villain. That guy was really good, and I think Jessica Jones was a solid character. But I think it goes to show how well-rounded a show needs to be, because if it was just Jessica Jones, dour, pouty, whiny for like 12 episodes, that would have got old real quick. But then you juxtapose that with this relentlessly evil and violent, but optimistic and like
It didn't get old in the comic, but it's because she kept getting like in trouble and then fucked up. Like she would keep getting fucked up by the bad guys and stuff. Like I don't know.
She has an air of vulnerability, so it makes it interesting. Luke Cage, it's like maybe if you detonate a nuke next to his head, he'll have a headache. Or if you point blank shoot him with a shotgun, he'll be unconscious.
Or then buy this special expensive bullet.
The expensive
I really liked
bullet?
Also Carrie Ann Moss in Jessica Jones was really good.
Yeah.
She was awesome.
Yeah.
I was not expecting. She's the what? No, the lawyer. She was in Matrix. Yeah.
From the Matrix, man. Yeah, she was awesome.
Yeah, she was really
that show had some tense moments that were hard to watch. Not because they're just hard to watch because the subject matter was so dark. Her about to gouge out her ex-wife. Like that villain was just incredible because the things you could do with them is just amazing.
Yeah.
All the riddles and stuff.
Yeah, I almost couldn't watch past the first episode because I was just like, holy shit, this is like really, really, really dark. But I'm glad I watched it. It's good.
Yeah, they didn't pull punches. They handled the material well, I thought. With respect. It wasn't like schlocky, it was very well done.
Well, before we get started though, I do want to throw one thing. Anne, you said you watched Black Mirror. I haven't watched that yet, but you said you turned it off. So
yeah, I started watching. So what happens on Netflix is if you press play on the show, it starts you on season 3, episode 1. So it starts you on this 3rd season. So I started watching the 3rd season, and I got about 20 minutes into the episode, and I had to turn it off because I couldn't watch it. I've never felt so distressed and anxious watching a show ever. And and now just on the heels of talking about Jessica Jones and how dark that was, and knowing that like people were forced into killing like their parents and whatever in like ways, I loved that show, and I couldn't watch this because I was so stressed out.
Wow. Well, good thing you didn't start with season 1 because I haven't watched season 3 yet, but I have heard by comparison season 3 is incredibly tame.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Well, that's what everyone was saying. Like, you should watch a different episode because none of them are tied together or whatever. But like, if the tone of that show is anything, if that was like one of the more tame episodes, because nothing even really happened. It was just the way that it was shot, the like the cinematography and the music and the way that it was acted and everything. Just I was so stressed out that I couldn't watch it because like
What was the theme? What were they dealing with? If you don't
that
know?
one was called Nosedive, and it was like the people were you had to rate your interactions with people, and like you could see the number like next to it. So it was like a commentary on social media and like how we view our relationships with other people and that kind of stuff. So like I got it, but it was just like I think it was just the impending collapse of the social order that was going to happen because I knew it was coming. I knew that like because the episode is called Nosedive, and the whole time this girl is like stressing out about her number because it's only 4.2 and it has to be 4.5, and I could see what was going to happen. And I think that like seeing this like social thing that was going to happen was stressing me out so much that I was just like, no, I can't deal with this. I can't see her life just fall apart.
I'm so pumped, man.
Jeff, are you familiar with the movie Requiem for a Dream?
Bro, it's one of my original favorite movies of all time.
It's like every episode is like watching that movie.
Yes.
Basically.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It is. It's hit or miss, I think. It's like Zeke was saying, it's like the Twilight Zone kind of, where there are these standout episodes that are kind of classics. So you watch it and you go, wow, that's a thing. And then there's another one that's like, well, they tried. But yeah, I think it's definitely worth watching if you can deal with the stress.
Dude, one of our mantras growing up when we played GoldenEye, like we would, a big part of my childhood was just 4 of us played like 10 hours of GoldenEye every day. We would just like, instead of saying GG for whatever reason, one summer after we all saw Requiem for a Dream, we all just mumble ass to ass.
Holy shit!
No, he said it with a straight face, and it was just like super inside. We were like ass to ass, man. That was sick. That was sick.
Oh my god!
People were like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" Check out Requiem for a Dream, dude.
Oh, Keith David. So
let's kill some people.
Yeah.
Let's kill stuff.
Speaking of
I'm ready.
stress,
Let's do it. Speaking of stress, you guys are all stress free. Basically, it's time to rack it up again.
Yeah. I mean, I still have
God,
two.
that's right.
Someone tried to kill my friend, so, or they threatened our house.
They certainly threatened you. Yeah. You just can't get, you and Kellen are gonna just be roommates forever.
Yeah. She's gonna follow me everywhere.
Which is fine. I mean, I think everybody likes her.
She's a doctor. She's basically Mercy, is the thing. So
That's right. That's right. You need a Mercy.
Everyone needs a Mercy. You hear that, chat? Everyone needs a Mercy.
So last time we did downtime and pursued some interesting character stories. And also Wheat kind of like put the team on his back and was like, you guys do your personal stories. I got the crime part figured out.
No.
I'll take care of that. And did her spider duties to wrangle up a new score basically and a way to do it. And maybe we should like sort of recap what that is because we're about to jump right into that. You want to tell us a little bit about that?
I mean, the high level, I guess, is that we decided that, we found out, of course, that Lord Suker is at his little compound, and we know it's a tier 3 compound, which means it may have anywhere from 40 to 80 people, if I recall. We just don't quite know. And because it is isolated and has a lightning gate around it, or what is the correct terminology?
Like a barrier, yeah.
Lightning barrier, excuse me,
Yep.
yes. Since it has a barrier, that, maybe it makes a lot of sense to shut down the barrier, and that could potentially help us complete this job. So we kind of got to that point, and you could tell us sort of what we were about to do. We worked with the fog. Damn it, my memory.
The Foghounds.
Thank you, the Foghounds, and they're the ones that actually brought us out to the compound because they make deliveries out in the Deathlands.
I've been making notes for all the scores and whatnot. So this is the second target, Lord Gustav Suker. Travel to Deathlands provided by the Foghounds, facing 80 foes. We have decided to smash the ghost fence and have Rune stir the ghosts into a frenzy.
Yeah.
There you go.
And Aldo can punch them.
Hey,
Aldo's gonna punch him if they come too close to it.
I'm hoping that there's a point where I can work that into the story. Like, I don't know that I can do it yet, kind of a thing.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Oh, you mean your character? Okay.
The character doesn't know yet that he has this ability. That's cool. Yeah, that's
Back up
fun.
against the wall, like that.
I love it. I love it. That's great.
The reason why I said that is because I'm going to play it that way, like during like the whatever, like voice some concerns about me being inside with these fucking ghosts, and can you keep them off my ass or whatever?
I like it.
Yes. Very. I love it. The Foghounds. Margette is the leader of the smuggling crew that's friendly to you. And yeah, they had sort of turned down a job. Lord Suker was trying to get smugglers to bring equipment out to extend. He's trying to build. He's got a little compound. He's trying to like build a bigger barrier out there, and so he needs supplies, but they're super illegal, and no one's supposed to even be out there. So he's been trying to hire smugglers to do that, and the Foghounds kind of went back and said, "Hey, we'll take that. We will take that job after all." So they're sort of your cover and the means to get out there. Going outside the barrier is not the toughest thing for scoundrels like you. Like, you guys know of, someone to talk to get out in the Deathlands, but it's kind of like getting out there is not the big problem, right? It's being safe when you're out there and getting back in. So I think the deal was the full round trip treatment from Foghounds. They're gonna get you out there into the compound, and presumably also the return trip when you come back. But they made it clear that they didn't want to take direct part in whatever you're doing. They wanted you to just take care of that, and they're going to be your driver basically.
They don't want no heat.
They don't want killing heat. And they think that that's what you're about. They don't know the details. You don't tell them what you were going to do, so
of course
they don't want to know the details. So the opening scene. So we rolled our engagement roll last time, which tells us sort of the opening position, whether everything's real controlled and going off just the way you wanted it to, or whether there's a pressing, problem of some kind, or if things have hit the fan and shit's gotten desperate. And we rolled a 5, which I see in our Roll20 chat from last time. It's still there. So that's the middle result. That's the okay result, partial. So you guys got picked up. You went and met the Foghounds in the canal, just down the way from where the Foghounds lair is. They have a sort of medium-sized canal barge, this long, mostly wooden with metal pieces, gondola kind of boat, but it's heavy. It has a cargo hold down the front of it, or across the decks, and a cabin in the back, a steering cabin, and it can all be closed in and sealed. Everything has these very intense sealed kind of doors that essentially make it airtight. Out in the Deathlands, sometimes there are these weird poisonous clouds and things and blowing ash and stuff, and so you don't want to be out there without protection. It's not immediately deadly or anything, but if you do it for your job, over time, it would be super bad for you. I think we probably see a little montage of you guys getting picked up in the dark. They're coming with no lights, and you kind of slip aboard, and the cargo deck is filled with all this stuff. Like they're actually doing the job. They have these long metal poles that have been taken down in the middle that are going to form some sort of barrier. There's cable, heavy duty industrial electrical cabling, and parts for generators and stuff like that, maybe. Just a bunch of technical stuff. I don't know if any of you are particularly technical minded, but it looks like, high tech lightning fence kind of stuff, but it's all kind of out of date, sort of. It doesn't look like the stuff that you see towering over the buildings in Duskwall, which is generally kept up to a very high level. This looks like old fashioned kind of stuff. Maybe mothballed gear that the Foghounds got off of some thieves or something like that. That no one's going to miss it, essentially. So it's Margette and Bear, her second in command, and a couple deckhand crew people. And one of them, you notice they're wearing 12 Spirit Bane charms. This is something that all of you have access to this as part of your load. We'll get to load in a second. We need to talk about that, but they're like a folk charm, a little amulet or a little rock or something with a rune carved in it, or people of Duskwall, it's sort of traditional to wear them because the city is haunted, and people say they work. I felt the ghost's cold fingers close around my throat, and then it touched my charm and it fled. It must have worked, So this guy, that one of the deckhands, he's collected all these extra ones, and he wears them all over his survival gear. He has this big poncho with a hood and a gas mask and a hose that goes back to a tank on his back. And he's at the prow with a lightning hook, this long pole with a loop on the end of it connected to a battery. And he's going to be outside during the transit to deal with stuff. But the rest of you can kind of pile into the cabin in the back. And when you're back there, Margette, in the montage, we see her showing you guys how to put on the gear and use the hoses and stuff. So you'll be ready when you get to the other side. So the camera sort of cranes up, and this dark boat slinks through the canals and dusk wall, takes a few strange turns, heads towards an apparent dead end where there's an old sewer grate that portcullis that comes down to the water, and the guy out front reaches over and hooks up one of the bricks and pulls it, and it frees the gate to open. We've got a little secret exit out through the canals, and there's the Dusk River turns on its eastern edge of the city over here. In fact, I'm going to bring up the map so we can kind of get a sense of where you guys are. Just zoom in here and bring you guys over. So over on the eastern side, there's that waterway, and then up in the northeast corner, right up here, that's the Lost District. So you can see where there's the sort of city over here on the west bank. You head through one of those canals, and then you're going to cross this open space of water where some of the Bluecoats patrol boats run around in that stretch. Then it's hard to tell on the map here because the small canals aren't on the map, but over on the eastern side, there are more canal entrances that used to connect before the Lost District was abandoned. So that's where you're heading. And we see this, again, maybe it's more like a helicopter shot that rises up, and we see the boat navigating out and the Bluecoat patrol boats going by, sweeping their searchlights. And it's that, Heist movie timing where the lamp light goes across the water and the boat slips in behind it in the dark, unseen, across into the canals opposite. And once again, on the other side, they're all blocked off with gates, like metal gates. The lightning barrier is actually on the shore ahead of you, and you're approaching it. The big towers are giant. They're hundreds and hundreds of feet tall. And, they're kind of like bending back over you. The lightning's crashing across between the big towers and the smaller connecting towers. And beyond, the Lost District is just dark. So when the lightning crashes, we sort of see it lit by the lightning barrier. And then the boat finds its way towards one of these little canals from the Lost District. Has anyone ever been outside the city before in their lives?
Nope.
Well, yeah. Technically, you have, Jeff. Yes, you came over on a ship from Tycheros. Yeah. Have you ever been outside, been out into the Deathlands before?
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. Yeah. So you're kind of what to look out for. There's clouds, heavy clouds, it's a misty kind of rain, nothing too serious. And the wind is picking up as you're getting closer. And when you head towards this canal entrance in the Lost District, you see that its gate, one side of it is fallen in and is half sunken in the water, overgrown with black moss and all pitted and rusted. And the boat angles sideways and sort of bangs through the opening. And it echoes even inside the cabin. You hear this banging echo through the canal because it's just utterly silent out here. There's nothing going on. And on either side...
What does the banging sound like?
It's just hitting the metal gate as you go in.
I'm still not getting it. Can you?
It's like a kind of
nice,
kind of like that.
Are we in gas masks and stuff?
Yeah. You've got your gear on. She's gonna kill the lights in the cabin and kill the power and stuff on the boat, so you're more stealthy. So you've got all your stuff on, ready to go. And you continue through, and it's like Venetian, kind of like the canals are faced by buildings with windows and little docks and things. But all the houses are dark, of course. A lot of the windows have broken, and doors are open. The wind that's whipping through is banging the shutters of the houses back and forth. you pass these houses with just an empty door frame with no door, just black darkness beyond, no lights. The guy out front on the front of the boat turns his lantern up so you don't run into anything. Now,
how long was the trip, do you think?
A whole trip takes about an hour.
So getting on the boat and trip was just an hour?
Yeah, about roughly, maybe, like hour and a half, something like that.
Okay. Careless is just sitting at the desk with his hands clasped, just presumably smiling.
Yeah, under your mask, you can kind of see barely see it. Yeah, so that's the montage to get you out there, and it's creepy. You guys know this place is haunted thoroughly. It's outside the barrier. Passing through the barrier, we should mention that because it's the special effects first part of the episode. When you guys are inside, there at one point the guy on the prow comes down and gets in with you, and their boat is rigged. There's all these little metal pieces that stick up across down the sides. It makes this kind of like Tesla cage or Faraday cage, sort of. When you cross that threshold in the canal where the lightning barrier invisibly crosses, it arcs and sparks around the cage, all around the boat and into the sides of the canal, and then you're through. And finally, in our little montage, we're carried to the house itself. Let me switch us over to that view here.
As soon as we are outside of the gate, this being the first time that Aldo's ever had reason to venture outside of the gate, I just want to like let all the players know, like, you can see there's something visibly, like he's nervous, like not sure, like he can handle most anything that's in the town. He's not scared of anybody in the town, but this is new territory for him, and might be the first time you've ever seen him a little shaken.
How do you are you shifting around nervously, or how can they tell?
If I like, my brow has like not unfurrowed since the gate, since we passed through the gate. It's just a look of concern and like looking around more than normal, like
yeah,
not keeping the eyes on the road, like definitely like kind of spying the territory.
Nice. There's a lot to track, right? You think you see something out of the corner of your eye about 1,000 times. And there's little, motions and a shutter bangs, or you swear you see a pair of eyes staring from a window. And this place is just creepy, skin crawly, haunted vibes the whole way. And you've brought Myth with you, yes?
Yeah.
Okay. So Myth is kind of hiding in the shadows, as he often does, out of sight from the Foghound's crew. But after you pass through the barrier and you're getting closer, there's a noticeable sound. There's this like low growl that happens a few times. Just this edgy, like under his breath, unease and fear, maybe. So you approach, and that the view there of the house is sort of, the canal runs in front of that big stone manor house with the pillars, and there's a few attached side buildings, and another sort of apartment building beyond, and that's all under this kind of janky homemade barrier system, which you see on the roof. There's a structure of metal and poles and wires and stuff, and it's creating this kind of nimbus of lightning above the building and throwing it out in this very just janky way around the area. It's obvious that this is not like a really nice, good barrier system. It's some kind of stopgap measure that they have in place right now. But the lights of the house, the electroplasmic lights, are burning. It's old. This building is long abandoned. The windows are boarded up. There's a statue out front of some old lord or something whose his face, the statue, is like worn away. And you pull up to the dock. there's a group of laborers or guys, people who work for Suker, who are just inside this crackling. It's almost like lightning is like bursting from the roof here and then falling around the structure. It doesn't have posts or anything to kind of contain it. It's this waves of energy crashing down. So one of them cranks up a searchlight and passes it across the ship as you talk. And kind of like,
just it's a quick question. Did you say that any of the crew of the Foghounds that are transporting us, they had the medallions or whatever? What are they called again?
The Spirit Bane charms.
Spirit Bane charms. They have those. Like you said, one guy had a bunch of them.
One guy has a bunch. Yeah, the others are probably wearing them under their.
Okay, well, I'm definitely like during this journey outside, I'm definitely going to be talking to the guy who has like bunches of them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like walk up to him when he's not busy doing whatever. Pardon me. May I have a moment of your time?
Yeah, so you come clanking up. Everyone is starting to unload and like carry bales of stuff up the steps from the canal dock up to the thing. You're talking to one of the crew members or one of the guys behind the barrier?
Whoever has you said there was one guy that had like medallion.
Oh, that guy. Yeah. The guy on the prow. Yeah. Well, as everyone's getting their stuff to carry up the stairs. Yeah, he's right there. You can talk to him you have to talk through the mask, but yeah.
I see you have a lot of those shiny things.
Can never be too careful.
Right. And I was wondering, is there any way that I might be able to get one of those off of you? You know, like you say, better safe than sorry.
You see his eyes go wide in the gas mask things, like he thinks you don't have one, maybe, and he's like, cool, oh, yeah, and he like reaches into a pouch and he has like a handful of them out of one of his pouches, and he rifles through and like, oh yeah, there you go. And he hands it across, or he actually puts it over your head, you know.
How small is this boat, or where we're at? Like, are we all right next to each other?
Yeah, you're basically all on deck right now. You're about to pretend to be, delivering the stuff, right? So you're acting like crew, I think, at this point.
So I would see this happen.
Yeah.
I think I would go, oh, I don't have one either.
That just like defeats him. Like, oh my God, who did we bring out here with? His head hangs and he's like, oh. He trudges over to you like why didn't you tell me? We came all this. Something could have happened to you.
Certainly, you should have had an orientation or something.
Yeah, he thought this was just common knowledge, So he.
I just like walk past you guys, and I'm just like so unprepared. I have like my own Spirit Bane charm.
Well, yeah. I wouldn't have been unprepared if you would have told me about it, Rune. I didn't know. Seems like you know. I mean, it's like if I said we're gonna go fight these guys, and they have knives, and I didn't tell you that. I'm just saying.
You seem nervous, Aldo.
Well, I wouldn't go that far and say nervous.
Oh, it'll be all right.
I just, want to be prepared. I mean, who knows? I don't know what I'm going to do if I face with a ghost. Like, can I strangle it?
You'll be all right now. You have a necklace.
I'm not done talking to this one yet. I'm not done talking to you yet. Is there like something I need to do to make it work?
Yeah. He pulls you aside and kind of like looks around and he says, "Well, I know some secret words. I'll tell you." And he whispers some nonsense in your ear. You don't know what it is, but
okay.
Actually, no, that's not true. You're a learned. A lettered man, something of a scholar.
Sure.
He says, like in Hadrathi, he says, like, crystal backwards fish. Like he knows these three words in this language. He thinks they're magical, and he like says like that's gonna cover you. You're good.
Well, far be it from me to question you. So, and I say crystal backwards fish right back to him.
Yeah,
sounds good.
He's very impressed that you got it right on the first try. You know, he's like, oh, all right, yeah.
So I take it and I tuck it into my shirt because I don't want anyone to think that I'm superstitious or anything. So I tuck it in so no one sees it.
So this is a good time.
But you'll see me like every few minutes. I'll just like
make sure it's still there.
just double check.
Yep. As you do that, you have this like waxed canvas poncho thing, and heavy gloves and the gas mask and stuff. As you kind of arrange it, we get a glimpse of what Alder's carrying. So maybe we should choose our load limits now. If you want to be light, medium, or
should we do that after the break? Maybe.
Yeah, let's think about it during the break, and then when we come back, we'll say what our loads are, and then we'll get to the risky situation that has developed.
It'll be fine.
Arrived.
Easy peasy.
Yeah. All right. We're going to take our first break, and we will be back in just a bit. See you then.